All right, it's that time again, Judas Priest review time, and this is our halfway point, I believe. Today we are taking a peek at a masterpiece, another one pumped out by Priest. Defenders of the Faith from 1984. And what's really cool too about this album cover, as I kind of talked about from on my last video, how they kind of went with this theme of starting to Screaming for Vengeance for some of their albums. And this kind of continues that trend with the whole mechanical beasts thing. Really, really cool album cover. One of my favorite album covers of all time. I actually have a shirt of it. Um, but, anyways, we'll hop right in here. And what a heavy, heavy album. This is easily their heaviest album up to this point, and definitely one of their heaviest albums in their entire discography, if you ask me. And the guitar tone on this thing throughout from Glenn and KK, it's probably my favorite guitar tone on an album of a Priest. It's just got this really good crunch to it, and the way even like the soloing, they just have this, they have the high end turned up or something on it, but not too much to where it pierces your ears or anything, but they have it turned up enough to where it just blasts through you. But we'll go ahead and start off with Freewheel Burning, and what an absolute banger to kick it off. Fast pace. I love the part, I think it's like, kind of in the breakdown where Rob is just like singing off lines like really, really fast, and then howling during the chorus, and then the good that main riff during the chorus as well is just absolutely killer. One of my favorite Priest songs of all time. This thing is filled with a lot of my favorite Priest songs of all time. Then we've got Jawbreaker, another killer one. And the guitar solo in Jawbreaker is one of my favorite Priest solos of all time. That's for sure. Really good melody to it. Again, really heavy, heavy vocals. This is also at this point, I mean, this is even for Rob a step up from Screaming for Vengeance in the heaviness department of vocals. Like, I'm talking, he sounds pissed off. But then we've got Rock Hard, Ride Free. Really cool track here. Long solo, which I love. So it's still keeping a tad bit of that progginess. Not exactly. I mean, I wouldn't call anything on here a prog track, but I mean, there's some lengthy tracks on here, which I'm a big fan of too, especially considering how heavy they are. Heavy, lengthy tracks, bring them on. Then we've got one of my favorite tracks of all time by Judas Priest, period, and that's The Sentinel. And man, the vocals on this thing, Rob just kills it. Really proves he's the metal god on this thing. Like, this is such an incredible song. I could just have this, I mean, even just track to track, this thing is just consistently ultra heavy. Even the slower ones, which I'll get to here in a moment, still got a good heaviness to them. Then we've got Love Bites, really hooky chorus. Really cool song. I love the opening with those like bells going on. And the riff is really good on here, as well as the bass. Then you've got one of the big heavy ones that was a controversial track for them. I think somebody disowned it or something. I don't recall exactly what happened, but Eat Me Alive. It's really, really fast one again. This is like the precursor to Painkiller. I mean, I know Painkiller came out a couple albums down the line after this one, but this really, because in between Painkiller and this one, the band kind of veered off into a different, different sound a little bit, and which I'll get into once I cover those albums. But this tracks like Eat Me Alive really show how this is the precursor to Painkiller. Then we've got one of my favorite Priest songs as well, and I heard this was the first one I heard off this album before that made me want to listen to this thing like immediately, was Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. What a badass lyric. Some heads are gonna roll. And the groove to this thing is just, it's brutal. And then we've got the slow one here, Night Comes Down, and even that is heavy. You've got this awesome, chorus going on, and then right in between the you know, the line to the chorus. You'll get a really killer guitar fill from the boys, KK and Glenn. Then we've got two tracks that kind of, they're probably my least favorite off here, but they're still really good because they kind of blend together. Heavy Duty and Defenders of the Faith. It's kind of like the closer portion here, which literally, like, Heavy Duty leads right into Defenders of the Faith, and then it kind of fades out in the album, which is a really cool ending to the album. Very fitting ending. So, like, I wouldn't call that a slight at all. I definitely would say that, like, that's a pretty badass ending for the album. But yeah, anyways, what a heavy record to, you know, right in the middle of the 80s, right when, you know, Iron Maiden, Priest are thriving, Dio, Ozzy, a lot of Queensryche, you know, a lot of awesome 80s metals coming out, like right here in the middle of the 80s. Good, heavy stuff, and this thing was a standout, at least in my eyes. I know it gets overlooked by a lot of people, because kind of like Point of Entry, it kind of got grouped in between some popular albums or controversial, like, you know, Turbo's kind of controversial, which came out after this, and then right before this was the instant mega hit, Screaming for Vengeance. So this one kind of gets overlooked, but I mean, if you're a fan, like, this is definitely one of their heaviest albums in their discography. So it kind of sucks getting overlooked, you know. I know it had a couple of hits off here, I believe, but nothing really big. So this heavy masterpiece really flies under the radar, which is a damn crime, if you ask me. But, you know, us true Priest fans know, you know, if you talk to a fan of Priest, they know how heavy this thing is, know how really good this is, and you can definitely, like I said, it'd be hard to find somebody who wouldn't say this is like the precursor to Painkiller as far as the tone and where the band really wanted to take their sound, but kind of veered off, and not necessarily in a bad way on those next two, but, you know, I'll talk about those when we get there. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'm super hyped to be halfway here, and we've still got two more 80s albums. The next time we'll be looking at 1986's Turbo. Definitely a lot of mixed thoughts on that album from people, considering the synth role that joined in on that album, but I'll let you guys know exactly what I think about it next time. So thanks.